The Electoral College. First, a true or false question. The candidate with the most votes is elected president. Answer: not necessarily. Just ask Hillary Clinton. So let's talk about the 2016 presidential election. Popular vote totals for Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Who has more votes? Hillary Clinton. Electoral vote for the 2016 presidential election. Donald Trump, 304. Hillary Clinton, 227. Who has the most electoral votes? Donald Trump. So how can we have two different winners? Let's talk about that. The Electoral College. Why does it exist? Well, back when our government was just starting out, members of Congress didn't believe that the average American knew enough about the candidates to make an informed decision. You have to think about the time period we are dealing with. This is a time period where connection with people is through letters, is through newspapers, is through physically traveling. We don't have any internet. We don't have any radio. So information getting to these people is not current, and it's going to take a while to get to them. If you have a candidate running for office, the farmer out on his farm in the middle of nowhere may have no clue what that candidate believes in and who they support. And so you can't make an informed decision on who you're going to vote for because you don't even know about them. So each state decided that they would have a group of electors. And electors are citizens of good standing, and they're people who are knowledgeable about the candidate's beliefs in order to make a decision for the people of their state. Now, state electoral votes. Each state is entitled to as many electoral votes as the amount of representatives it has. So the U.S. House of Representatives is based on the population of each state, whereas the U.S. House of Senate is based on 2 for every state, regardless of size. So again, House of Representatives based on population, Senate is 2 per state, no matter how small or how big the state is. Now in California, we have 53 members in the House of Representatives, plus our 2 senators, and that gives us a total of 55 electoral votes. So here's some numbers for you. So there's a total of 435 members in the House, and there's a total of 100 senators. Remember, we have 50 states. Each state gets 2. That's why we have 100 senators. We also have 3 electors for the District of Columbia, and the District of Columbia is Washington, D.C., for a total of 538 potential electoral votes. In order to win, you need at least 270. Here's the current Electoral College map. Notice California has 55. Now looking at this map, which state or states do you think has the most power in a presidential election? Now you may think it's California with 55, Texas with 38, Florida with 29. But we're going to see shortly why it's actually not these states. So we have a winner-takes-all situation, in that a candidate who wins the popular vote within a state wins all of the electoral votes for that state. For example, during the 2016 presidential election, Hillary Clinton received more votes in the state of California than Donald Trump. So Hillary Clinton won all of California's 55 electoral votes. Donald Trump received 0. But unfortunately, or fortunately, this is only the method for 48 states. Nebraska and Maine like to be different, and they have what we call a proportional system, where each candidate gets some votes. So if California followed a proportional system, we would have divided up our 55 electoral votes between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Now, it would not have been an even split. It would have been a percentage split. So if Hillary Clinton received 65% of the votes, she would then receive 65% of the electoral votes, and Donald Trump would receive the remaining. Now, why Nebraska and Maine have a proportional system when the other 48 states don't? Great question. I have no idea, but I'm sure Google can have the answer if you would like to look it up. So here is the Electoral College map from the 2016 election. Blue represents Hillary Clinton, and blue also represents Democrats. That was the political party that Hillary Clinton took part in. And red represents Trump or the Republican Party. So notice Hillary Clinton did receive several large states, California 55, New York 29, but it was Donald Trump who received the majority of the electoral votes and reached 306. How many do you need to win? Something you might need to go back and look at. Here is the Electoral College map from the 2000 election, and this was Al Gore versus George Bush. And this was another example where the person who won the popular vote, in this case Al Gore, did not win the presidential election because George Bush actually received more electoral votes. Notice at this time, California has 54 electoral votes. Votes for each state are updated every 10 years with the census. Currently, we are in 2020, and a census is ongoing, where essentially we count every single person residing in the United States of America. So California's current electoral vote number of 55 could potentially go up, go down, or stay the same. We won't know until everyone has been counted. Here's an Electoral College map from 1984. It's not always a pretty 50-50 split. As you can see in this example, Ronald Reagan took all the states except for one. Walter Mondale only received 10 electoral votes. So it's not always an easy vote, 50-50 split. Sometimes you have stuff like this. So let's talk about the real election. Now in December of the election year, and actually let's go back to November. So November, registered voters will vote for who they want to be president. In December of an election year, the electors will gather together in their state capitals and cast their ballots for president and vice president. And those ballots are based on the results from the vote in November. Then in January, Congress will come together. They will open up the ballots from all of the states and announce the official winner. Now, do we know in November who has won the presidential election? Yes, absolutely. We have technology today that allows us that information, but it's not official until January when Congress approves it. Now let's talk about swing states. A few moments ago, I asked you which states on the Electoral College map do you think have the most power in a presidential election? I threw out states such as California, Texas, and Florida. And I picked those states because they have the largest number of electoral votes. But that's actually not the case. States on this map that are listed in gray actually have the most power. So what happens prior to a presidential election is that a lot of predictions are made. And essentially what you will have are people calling up people who have registered to vote and ask them, who are you going to vote for? It's like a survey. And so they'll write down all the responses and report the results. And so they can say with pretty good certainty that California's 55 electoral votes were going to go to Hillary Clinton. They could say for certainty that Arizona's 11 electoral votes were going to go to Donald Trump. They were fairly certain that these results were accurate. However, there were states, and these are the swing states, where they weren't sure, where the number was too close to call. So a swing state is a state that we cannot predict which way it's going to go in a presidential election. Are the state's electoral votes going to go to the Republican candidate, or is it going to go to the Democrat candidate? We don't know. So Nevada, with its 6 electoral votes, actually has more power in a presidential election than California. So if you are a person running for president and you want to go and campaign and spread your message, and let's say you're Donald Trump, and you have an option of going either to Nevada or California, which state are you going to go to? You're going to go to Nevada, because you know that if you go to California and campaign, chances are very likely that you're not going to get those 55 votes. But you have a chance in Nevada to get the 6 votes, because we don't know which way those votes are going to go. So you're going to campaign in the gray states, and you're going to ignore all the other states. Will you go to a California? Probably not. You'll probably send a representative to go and campaign for you. But you yourself will go to the gray states. So the gray states have a lot of power in a presidential election. Swing states change every 4 years. So Nevada may not always be a swing state. It all depends on what the responses from those phone calls say. Who knows? Someday California could be a swing state. It won't happen, but maybe it could. So a swing state is a state that you don't know which way it's going to go in a presidential election. And that is your fray word, swing states.